All right. Hello, hello. Chris Wolf here, international SEO expert consultant and founder of Boulder SEO Marketing. Extremely excited to have with me today Dominik Lambersy, founder of TextCortex. And we both just went through COVID, so you may hear a cough here and there. Had to reschedule this meeting a few times. Hey, Dominik, yeah, we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and content writing development. I'm extremely excited to talk about this topic. That said, why don't you briefly introduce yourself? What is your company all about?
Absolutely, and thanks, first of all, Chris, for having me here. We had an amazing pre-chat already, and as you said, we both just suffered through
Yeah.
COVID. I try my best to mute, and there it is, the first one. I try my best to mute the call things with my microphone. But let me give you a quick intro about myself. I was born and raised on German Fun Fest. Think about Oktoberfest, and somehow in 2014 turned into tech, invested in artificial intelligence startups, now building one with TextCortex. And in its core, what we are trying to accomplish with TextCortex is kind of like the super app, which should help anyone with a text intensive or somebody who needs to communicate a lot in written form, needs to write a lot of content to help them in their daily life. Yeah? Because there's so many mundane tasks from, it can be something as easy as grammar checking, finding synonyms, up to what is now an emerging trend thanks to tools like GPT-3. It's called AI copywriting, in which you can basically take a sentence, completely rephrase it into a different type of tone, a different type of voice, or even go from a small 5-word headline to a full paragraph. This is what we are doing with TextCortex, available as a Chrome extension, for example, such that we can literally help you right where you are creating content.
Awesome. And obviously, I think I found your tool on the Chrome extension platform. Obviously, for us as an SEO company, extremely important, right? Or for marketers in general, it's all about the content, right? So I've been testing the tool myself, and I'd love for you to maybe show us, in a second, what does it look like? And then also, we're going to put a link down below in the description where anybody can sign up for, I think it's a freemium tool right now, where I definitely encourage anybody give this tool a try. It's really cool. How does it work if somebody signs up? How much can they use it? I do think you gave me complimentary access to the tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate it. What's doable with the freemium version?
I mean, what we want to give people is a tool to get things started. So if you would like to, you could use our toolages for completely free. There's a web app, there's a Chrome extension to it. What you get, and I'm currently heavily trying to educate our users about it, you have 15 creations per day. Every night, those 15 creations will recharge, and every interaction you do with our tool, that's then oftentimes what I've already described. Hey, you want to rewrite a sentence or a full paragraph, yeah, you would then hit a create button with our Chrome extension, and it would so to say charge one of the creations. You could put it potentially, and theoretically, you could increase also that amount of daily free creations by doing some side quests we have in our reward center. I just want to sideline it here for anyone who is interested. I also have a dedicated video for that. You basically help us a little bit with our organic growth in that case, if you don't want to pay for it. But I mean, the smallest subscription is 10 euros a month. But depending on what you like, you can help us. I can quickly share my screen and show in literally 5 seconds how it works. Let me just find my share screen button here. Let me share this window. Chris, can you see my window now?
Sure can.
Amazing. This is just a quick demo. I mean, and this text was actually already pre-written by a Chrome extension. And you can already see the small little bubble which appears if I'm selecting text. This here is Notion right now. We're soon going to have Google Drive as well. In particular Docs, because it's interesting for most agencies, for most marketers, for most freelancers. But basically, if you want to quickly rewrite something, select something, the bubble appears, you click on it, and here's the rewrite button.
And that's
Click
with
on it.
Chrome extension, right? So basically, I can go into my email, hover over text, and that's how it works.
Yes. Email is also a dedicated function. You can see it here. That would work a little bit different. You type in 3 different bullet points, highlight them, and then basically let our Chrome extension write it out. What we see here right now is the rewrite function. So whenever you have issues of like, you've rewritten a sentence for the third, fourth time, and you simply run out of like options you can use. Excuse me. Then you can use the rewrite function, or if you want to do something more creative writing. Here, this is the headline I've already talked about. Again, you hit the bubble, you click on long form post. Usually takes around like 5 to 10 seconds because now it does some more heavy load on working and writing for you. And look here, this is now a completely uniquely written introduction now for this chapter, for example. And this is a short one because the standard is always an S length in creation. So you can also go further. You can create it in different languages. I mean, Chris, we share one common language, which is German.
Yes.
That's a nice to have. But this is a quick overview and demo of what we can do. This is the Chrome extension, basically.
Awesome.
Let me switch away from the share. Now I'm also having you back in the big display.
Cool. Yeah, and then definitely, if you listen to this, if you guys are interested, I really like to do the TextCortex application. It's very intuitive, right? So it's the best of both worlds. All right. So today, September 1st, 2022, Dominik, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Google just unleashed the useful content core algorithm update, right? A lot of people, they misuse tools such as TextCortex, right? They just created AI generated content, put it up on their website. Google has to deal with this, right? At this point, in my personal opinion, I don't think AI writing tools are quite there yet, that you can just say, hey, here's a topic, write a blog post, right? It doesn't work. That's why Google unleashed the useful content update. Give us a little bit of feedback. Where are we going with this? In your opinion, I'd love to. Where is this going? When are we going to get there potentially?
Absolutely. And let me reframe your statement a little bit, because the misusage actually happened with GPT-3 based tools. I mean, we at TextCortex, we train and gather own data sets to enable those functionalities I've just shown you. Yeah, that block writing function, for example, we gave it 20 million of the most engaged blog or any type of long form articles to train a dedicated AI on top of it. But what happened certainly last year is that OpenAI, this American company where also Elon Musk, is kind of like the founding father from, they released it's called an API, application programming interface, which allowed a lot of product builders to come up with the ideas for AI copywriting tools. Yeah, there's Jarvis, Copy AI, WriteSonic, plenty of them. I mean, at one point I stopped tracking them in my competitor sheet. They all basically build on the same thing under the hood. Yeah? Imagine your car; they all have the same engine, so there's not much performance difference. But what happened with in particular releasing the API, there was a few products. I don't call them companies because they were literally just products being around for a while, who allowed people to create 50,000 blocks for $2,000 a month.
Oh my God.
And yes, and I mean, with that you had a lot of garbage out there, there were a few LinkedIn and Twitter discussions where people really went about, like, they boasted around how SEO wise they went from 0 to 2 million impressions a day, with basically a website which is full of completely random content, and as Google said, they're releasing the helpful content update. So what happened there with that misusage of GPT-3 is that a lot of traces were left out in the ecosystem. And I mean, it's not very difficult to reverse engineer which web pages, for example, took advantage of it by simply looking at, who in the last year has released immense amount of blog posts. Yeah, anything which is humanly in basically not capable. At TextCortex ourselves, we love organic growth channels. We have a very, very active blog already, and we use our toolings for it as well, but in collaboration with a human to it. We always talk about it's co-creation. A company like DeepL or or like a product like Google Translate didn't take away the job of translation completely. They do the job for 95% for you. Similar goes to grammar checking tool like language tool like Grammarly. They do 95% of a good job. You still need to figure out as a human whether you want to take it or not. And a similar thing is now happening to basically copywriting and content writing at the scale. Because writing copy or writing a good blog post, I'm a passionate writer. And it took me years to develop this skill, but many do not have access to it. So basically what is happening now with tools like we are building with TextCortex, with our own AI models, we are democratizing the kind of like the skill of good writing to people, and try to give them a device or a tool next to them which they can co-create next to it.
And I think I already told you, I have my wife test your tool as well. She is back. She's back in online university. She's obsessed with getting degrees, etc. So as part of her degree, she has to write a lot, right? So she uses your tool. It actually tremendously helps her speed up the process of writing high quality content. Is it a standalone solution? No, absolutely not. But she really loves the tool, and it helps her write blog posts faster. Yeah, it still has to be edited, right? But that's a great use case. Also, I'm teaching part of a master's degree for the University of Strasbourg in France. The final assignment is for my students. They have to submit a search engine optimized blog post. I will absolutely recommend your tool. There's nothing wrong, right, with using AI to deliver a high quality blog post as long as it's edited. So I'm actually excited to share with them your tool.
By the way, Chris, if I can help your students, just let me know. I'm always happy to talk in front of students. Huh?
Oh, man.
So if you need some additional content for your lectures, yeah, just give me a call.
Yeah, I'll maybe pull you in for maybe 10, 15 minutes. This is reality, right? This is where we're going. Now at my shop at Boulder SEO Marketing and Chris Wolf International SEO, we are taking a look at everything that we're doing. By the way, these are two books that I'll be put the links into the description below. It's all about marketing and AI. The reality is that development will go faster and faster and faster and faster. If you are a marketer and you still don't understand the importance of AI in marketing, such as copywriting, etc., you're going to fall behind. What do you realistically, what are the big milestones that we have to look at in terms of not just content creation? You're an AI guy. Love to hear, what do you see? Where are we going with this?
I can go very technical with that, but I think
that's technical.
This misplaced for your audience, highly likely. Yeah. I was sitting in another German podcast where the host encountered or gave me the very same question. He asked me, Dominik, when will AI be possible to write the first what did he say, Pulitzer winning story? And I was like, that's a super interesting thought process. And what I have told him that I believe that we are less than 10 years away from it. We can already see different types of communities who are coming together, who are, at the core, a little bit of tech now. At the core, what always matters is which type of data are you feeding to an AI such that it can, produce something high quality. And in that case, what you need is basically a big data set of a specific format, in that case, for example, Pulitzer winning stories or articles, books, and then find a way and a good model, a good brain, let's just call it brain. Yeah, model is so abstract. Let's find a good brain which can replicate it. And so we are not far away from having machine creativity, writing movie scripts, writing books, writing full stories. But one thing which we always need to think about is that it always bases the creation on top of very, very short-term past happenings, because where we are standing at the moment, we simply do not have the computational power and the hardware which could reflect an, some people dream of an artificial general intelligence, and a lot of people are afraid of it, which could take in all the knowledge which is on that planet, be trained on it, and accurately answering questions on top for it. For example, I mean, we had this one use case within TextCortex where a big US book e-commerce wanted us to write biographies of authors. So think about J.K. Rowling, for example. And the behavior I've seen in the AI was very human, because Chris, if I ask you now, how old do you think is J.K. Rowling? What would you say?
She's probably late 40s, early 50s.
She's end of her 50s, beginning of her 60s, I believe.
Okay.
And that's the same information I have in my head, yeah. And then what I do is the deduction, saying, hey, now it's 2022. If she's roughly 60 years old, that would mean she was born in 1962. And while we were working with that customer, we've also seen that the AI sometimes said, yeah, she was born 1961, 63, 64, 59. Very similar to how human memory would work in that case. Yeah, that you have an idea, you can somehow deduct it, but not that well. And there's still some shimmer around your memories. And that's, to come back a little bit to your question again, when can we see kind of like fully automated AI writers? I believe that there's a lot. We are just in the pinnacle. That's just the start of it. And if you think what will happen just in the next 5 years will blow our minds. And it, like you said, it will just become faster and faster and faster in the development. And I've started to get into the topic in 2017 during my master studies. Back then, a model was daunted to be too dangerous to be released to the public. In 2 days terms, I would say that this AI was capable of writing kind of like a second grader, to make it a little bit more understandable. While today you have pretty sophisticated writers, I would say, kind of like high school degree type of writing. And what we then do in TextCortex is basically say we take those very strong, or like, AIs which have the general capability to write already and understand grammar, understand language, and then make them expert writers, as I told you with that example with long form writing. It's think about a human which needs to read through 20 million of the most engaged blogs. He will learn something, but he will also take ages to learn something out of it. While our machines, for example, our AIs, they took roughly 3 weeks to read through all this content and understand what are the nuances, what are the patterns within that, which words seem selling, which words seem engaging.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, I think we're going to see the hockey stick effect, right? Where this technology will get better, faster, higher quality, very, very, very rapidly, as we've seen with most every technology in the past, right? So it's actually interesting. I'm currently a beta tester. I don't know if you heard of it. Let me look it up. Are you aware of AI Test Kitchen? Have you heard of that?
AI Test Kitchen? No, I haven't heard of that.
And it's awesome. So it's a Google research platform. It's freaking awesome. So I'm not sure if I can share this on the screen, but basically there's 3 different models right now. I'm not going to share it. But basically you finish a sentence, what is the, and then you type in the best yellow cowboy hat that's worn by a green gecko in Australia. Like something completely crazy, right? And then this tool creates a story out of this that actually makes sense. It's shocking how
Mm.
well this is working already. So I'm super excited to be a beta tester to test this tool. Maybe we can talk about it in a follow-up interview, but it basically reconfirms what you just said, right?
I mean,
It's getting better and better, and it's going to go faster and faster. And now is the time basically to adapt this technology jump
I
on
mean,
this the value.
I mean, we get quite a lot of backslash for saying, hey, we are doing AI copywriting. It's the similar industry development like we saw in translation, like we saw in professional editing.
Yeah.
What I already said, like this democratization, give everybody the tools, the shovels into the hand to work for themselves and do the same thing, like others did. So this is a lot which will that enable. And if you know what you talked about that Google product now, if in general that we see that AI understands, the thing with DALI and so on, these image creation AIs, for example, which also have a semantic understanding of what's happening, and then actually can translate that into colors and figures and actually pretty good to it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we will see. I mean, everything starts with text, and first drafts. If you look at big movies, it starts with one script. Somebody has thought about it in a written format, and then you have translated it to the next level, which then comes with audio, which comes then with visuals. But I think if we are in like a full, I mean, at one point we will reach the milestone of seeing AIs creating scripts, and I get this use case more and more often. Then we will see, like, if we have this milestone reached, it would be quite easy to say now we have AIs doing podcasts. I mean, there's already some early companies who are doing that. I've seen it while still working as a venture capitalist. And then in the next step, at one point, you make the whole thing moving. That's a big challenge, quite far away, but I'm very, very excited to see that also coming to life at one point. But now is the time, as you said, now is the time to go with the wave and basically, if you don't use the technology now, you will become quite out-fashioned in the next few tomorrows, I would say.
No, I completely agree. So actually what we're doing right now with my personal website, the chriswalf.com, we're completely redoing the website. I'm gonna try to use as much AI as possible for the whole process. I just want to see, to what extent can we use it. So we're going to use TextCortex, right, to rewrite content. We're going to use DeepL, machine translation platform. And then we're going to use another tool called SE Ranking. Basically, once you publish a page, you can run a certain page through that tool, the on-page SEO checker, against a keyword. It's an AI tool that will then tell you, hey, based on our AI algorithm, these are the 100 things that you need to do if you want to get from position 6, 7, 8 on page 1 to position 1, 2, or 3. So yeah, I'm extremely excited to get started here. And I know,
Chris,
yeah.
Let me also like you told me about SE ranking, and we were anyways looking for a good tool to check to check our search performance, and I really loved it. It gave me a completely different perspective, and it's also so difficult in that area to find a good analytics tool which also kind of like speaks the truth to you. I've recently also saw that article about how Google Search Console and so on is not classifying the data properly, and I've seen that after using SE ranking as well. I've heard the news, then I've looked for new tools, and currently we're also we still are in a testing phase, but so far we're really enthusiastic about what SE ranking is doing there.
Oh man, it's basically the one tool that we use at my agency now with analytics, Search Console, etc. But they're ahead of the game. We use their AI to our advantage. So we get our clients to, you know, position 4, 5, 6, whatever. And then we use the AI, the on-page SEO tech checker, to basically fine-tune the strategy. This is what it takes, right? This is why AI is going to be so important for any marketer, especially in our field, the SEO field. You gain such a massive competitive advantage. Yeah. I know we can talk so much longer. We should have a follow-up. Is there anything else that we should know about TextCortex? Any final thoughts?
I mean, final thoughts, you know, Chris, I would have loved within this episode to also get your perspective on a helpful content update before I'm doing some more shameless self-promotion here. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, let's bring some more value around what really is at the hand at the moment. I mean, that's pressing. I've seen that a lot of people are reacting to that very topic now and try to adjust to it. I mean, I've give some, I can then follow up with how you can go around it with not go around it, but work with the helpful content update with AI writing tools afterwards. But I would love your perspective first.
Man, I was so excited when I saw that algorithm, core algorithm announced. Because if you let's take a step back, the most important algorithm signal backlinks, right? This Google was famed, or back then Backrub, you know, was based on backlinks. It's also the biggest problem that Google had to solve. You know, you can buy backlinks, etc. Everybody has a backlinking strategy. Well, you know, with the helpful content update, Mom, Bird, all these past massive core algorithm updates, Google has figured out content. That's what we do. We're now primarily a content marketing agency that's still really good at SEO, that takes advantage of tools such as TextCortex, right, of AI, etc. But it's all about the content, you know. So when we were basically thrilled that this happened, because now our content went up, right, and spammer, like the people that don't understand how to use these platforms correctly, they got punished. So for us, it was just like reiteration. Look, this is how you use it. Take advantage of this, but do it the right way. You still have to put in the effort. So we're, you know, thrilled about this update, and I'm excited to see what's next, right? So that's my 2 cents.
I mean, I'm also very much thrilled about it because it will, in that whole AI copywriting space and toolage which is around, it will clean up a lot. A lot of people who did it for a quick buck, a lot of people who, I mean, we also get asked several times if we would do a lifetime discount for our extension, for example. But ultimately, what we are doing has quite some operational costs just from training those AI models and then ultimately running it. We're currently running the peak of GPU technology at the moment just to keep those things afloat. This costs a lot of electricity and ultimately brings in costs to the house. Yeah. And what I also want to tell your audience, like, and have a separate, a full video around it. Never settle for the cheap deal there. Because what I've seen plenty of times, and many of our users migrated, then they get introduced from a different tool and then came over to us because suddenly the support, or in general the whole functionalities of that one lifetime deal product for 50 to $100 was suddenly not working anymore because the company is breaking financially in the background. And basically what they did is just like holding up the stack and be like, okay, who wants to pay us to develop that product really briefly? You can use it for, I made a calculation once, if they run GPT-3, they are out of money from what they sold. They are out of that revenue in like maximum 2 months. If I would take our power users as an example there. But I'm thrifting off in that whole topic a little bit. Do you still want to say something about that helpful content update, or otherwise I would also
No, I'm gonna put the links to the things that we discussed down below into the description. Not everybody is familiar with what we're talking about, so go down there, look it up. Yeah, I am. Let's do this again. We're going to continue to use TextCortex. We have, many writers. We're going to continue to include AI writing in our processes, human assisted. And then let's have a follow-up conversation as this technology will evolve rapidly. Yeah, that being said, Dominik, thanks so much for making the time.
Thank you, Chris.
We'll have a follow-up conversation. And if anybody else is listening that's involved in AI related sort of like to SEO, feel free to reach out. I'd love to interview you, speak with you. This is a very rapidly evolving, technology, and I'll be posting new information on a regular basis. There's that COVID cough. Mine is coming back. Oh, but Dominik, thank you so much. We'll put all the information down below in the description. And thanks so much for, if you're still listening to this, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Also, thanks, Chris, for having me on. We just had enough lung capacity, I would say.
Yeah. All right, boy. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.